Today we are going to learn something about the wisdom literature in the Bible. Wisdom literature is something different from what you might have already learned. There are 7 books in the Bible which are known as wisdom books, and they have a different theological insight and different way of thinking about God and the world and man, everything. So, this is also an important part of the biblical studies, wisdom books. These 7 books cannot be introduced well in a short session like this, but I will say something about this wisdom tradition and wisdom books. But I hope that you all have the book, and you can. This is my book that is given to you. You can read it and understand in detail what we intend. First, as you all know, is somebody there? Please respond.
Yes, Father.
Okay, 1, 2, okay. As we all know, there are 2 types of religions in the world. 2 types of religions. One is revealed religion, and the other is natural religion, normally. Revealed religion means this is Judaism and Christianity is thought to be revealed religion. Often you may also hear the word, the comment that Muslim Islam is a revealed religion, which we cannot consider because everything what is taught in the Bible is contradicted by Quran. So you cannot consider this a revealed religion. This is a man-made religion for some kind of other with some intentions. Whereas you can say Judaism and Christianity are revealed religion. They have different outlooks, but it is studied or believed that God revealed once to Abraham, to Moses, then to the prophets, and at the end he revealed through Jesus his will. He has taught men, humankind, about what the will of God and so on. And this is how the revealed religion function. And in the Bible, we have the law and the prophets. Law means you should be knowing now. Law is the Pentateuch. That is, there are 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And the prophets, which have 2 parts: the former prophets and the latter prophets. Former prophets means the books from Joshua to the 2nd Kings, whereas latter prophets, you have the books of the prophets, Isaiah to Malachi. So these are 2 sections of prophets. One is actually history, and in history there are a number of prophets appearing in the history. Also, these prophets, the books also appear in the history. So these books are called the foreign prophets. And those books, 18 books, which are counted to be prophetic books, are considered to be latter prophets. The name is somewhat misleading, but this is considered so. These are the 2 sections, law and the prophets, in the Old Testament. And let me go to the Old Testament. There is a 3rd part in the Old Testament, which is called wisdom books, or they are the writings. In this session, we are discussing something about these writings. So, what is the difference? That is, first we have to understand what is the difference. The outlook, how people see things, how evaluate God, how we evaluate humankind, everything is different in these 2 traditions. For example, let's begin with the division of the Bible into 3. Please, one of you read the prologue of the book of Sirach, that is Ecclesiasticus. Prologue of the book of Sirach. Someone may read this one. Sirach, Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. It is said it has got a prologue. It is before the beginning of the book. Some of you, or someone of you, please read. Who is ready to read?
I'll read, Achan.
Okay, thank you.
The prologue. Many great teachings have been given to us through the law and the prophets and the others that followed them. And for these we should praise Israel for instruction and wisdom. Now, those who read the scriptures must not only themselves understand them, but must also, as lovers of learning, be able through the spoken and written word to help the outsiders. So my grandfather Jesus, who had devoted himself especially to the reading of the law and the prophets and the other books of our ancestors, and
Okay, enough. Thank you. You are Betty, isn't it? Okay. Okay. So here you will find repeatedly the law, the prophet, and the other books. This is already in the Bible. This is a book written, this is a wisdom book written in the 2nd century BC. That is 182 probably, because we have almost the dates and things in the book. And this was also a book translated in different languages in the 1st century BC itself. So in that book, we find this division. First, you have to have in mind this. The Bible, the Old Testament is divided into 3 parts. First, you have the law, then you have the prophets and the writings. And if you interpret this, you have the law given to Moses. Then you have some kind of interpretation of this law in the history, in the prophets. And you have a different section in the Bible, which is called the wisdom books or the writing. So this is the case with the division. You can also go to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, 44. Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, 44. I hope that all of you have your Bible in front of you, since it's a class. Otherwise, you may not follow so many things. 24, 44.
Then he said to them, "These are my words that I spoke to you while I was still with you, that everything written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms must be fulfilled."
Okay, thank you. So this division, law, prophets, and the writings. When we come to the New Testament, we see only the Psalms referred to, the law, prophets, and the writing. That is, Luke is presenting, like other evangelists, that is, Jesus is the fulfillment of the law, prophet, and the writing. So they are maybe equal parts of the Bible, threefold division of the Bible that we have to understand. Then what is the difference? This is the question now. If we go to the law and prophet session, you know the story already, how the whole story goes, the creation account. You might have studied in your classes, or you know from your reading of the Bible. God creates humankind, Adam and Eve. Then God comes to visit them in the garden. That means they had a life with God. And if we interpret further, the humankind that was created in the beginning had some kind of angelic form. They were a combination of some divine element, angelic element, and also some earthly element. But we may think that the skin that we have is the result of the sin. That is, God covered him with his animal skin. We may think in that way. Anyway, you can leave it, set it out. Then you can just think that God created man. Then he comes to live with man, means he has some kind of contact. And slowly, God is revealing himself to man. That is, he comes, then he gives a law that you shall not eat from the tree. You can eat from the other trees, but from the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. Then after eating the forbidden fruit, they have some kind of what do you say, shame. Then when God comes, they know that after sinning, you cannot stay before this God. They have some kind of feeling. Then they have the guilt feeling. Then God comes and punishes them. Then God expels them. Means In every visit of God, you have a new revelation about God. God is revealing continuously to this man. And if you read the whole Bible, then you have God visiting him during the time of Noah, God visiting and punishing the whole humankind because of the sin. Then we have the story of Tower of Babel, where again God comes and punishes them for their pride. They are thinking of becoming like God, reaching to the heavens. Then we have God visiting Abraham and revealing his name once El Shaddai. Then God is revealing himself as a God of the covenant, which will be continuously then through several covenants. God will work. God will show his will, and he will reveal himself to the people. And we come then move forward. We have the revelation to Moses on Mount Sinai or on the way of Israel. Then you have the revelation to Joshua, then to Samuel, to David. And so constantly there's a revelation. And in this revelation, what you find is God is coming down, speaking through some prophets or some chosen people, and revealing his will. And what man has to do is just obey. That's all. This is the so-called revealed religion. God revealed his will to humankind, and they will have the responsibility of obeying the will of God and submitting to the will of God. This is called what is called the revealed religion. And this is what we find in the law and the prophet session. There is no confusion. This you know. And actually, if you look into your own lives, this is actually the history of every human person. We live years and years, every year with some kind of experience or some retreat or some Bible reading, Bible study. Through every day, we have practically more knowledge about God. Our knowledge about God is not that knowledge we had when we have 10 years old, or we were 10 years old or so. No. Now we have more knowledge. God is continuously revealing his will to humankind. And this is a dogmatic revelation, and man has just to obey. This is what you will find in the 10 Commandments. We know in Exodus chapter 20, you have the 10 Commandments, or in Deuteronomy chapter 5, you have the 10 Commandments. And always God will say, the commandments, I am your God and you shall have no other gods. Okay, it's over and you have to obey. Or you have to observe the Sabbath. Okay, you have to obey. You cannot change the commandment. Or you have to see for your parents, you shall not kill. So all these commandments are just going and you have just to obey. This is the revelation that you will find in the law and the prophet. That is, God created humankind, and God is coming in search of this human being, and God revealed himself to this human being, and thus these people know the will of God. This is the revelation, the law, and the prophet. These are things you already know, but in order to understand the other part, you have to get a clear idea about this. That's why I'm explaining all these things. When we come to the wisdom part of the Bible, this is a different session. As I told you in the beginning, there are two types of religions in the world. One is the revealed religion, and the other is natural religion. What is the specialty of natural religion? Man, you have found several calves or so, something that a calf is born, and without teaching someone this calf, this is somewhere finding its mother. It just goes to the mother. So every human being, as they are the image of God, this is no story. Human beings are simply images of God. And he has an inner call to respond to his creator. Because God is my creator, my soul is searching for my creator. And as a result, in the whole world, humankind had always searched for their creator. People have always searched for their creator, and the conclusion often differs. Some people will think that the sun is the god. Some people say the moon is the god. Some people think some animal or some that way, some power. So this is called the natural religion. And often you know that some natural religions from going, for example, Hinduism, let's say, if it is taken as a natural religion, when we come to the second millennium AD, they are also arriving in some kind of monotheistic thought. So from natural religion, you are coming forward, and sometime you are reaching the creator. This is called a natural religion. And in the natural religion, you have normally the revelation of God also happening, because God is creating humankind as his image, and since he is the image of God, God has put his spirit in human being. As a result, you can check this in every religion except Islam. Every religion you will find the 10 commandments. That is the most interesting thing. If you go to check your neighbor, or maybe Hindu, or maybe sometime even atheist, you can go and check whether he observed the 10th commandments, or he observed the 9th commandment, or the 8th commandment, or the 7th commandment, or the 6th commandment, or the 5th commandment, or the 4th commandment. They all obey all these commandments, because every human being has an inner call to know God and search for his creator. There are exceptions, of course. Every law has its exception. That's what we say the atheist. And since every man has this quest for God, in the whole world, people always search for God, their creator. And the history of humankind, history of the search for their creator is described in every wisdom literature. Since this is a global search, this does not have any religion, because this is based on experience. And there is no religion that just make a search for God, and at the end they will come to certain good conclusions. And what we find in the biblical books, wisdom books, is that these books are the Israelite wing of the global wisdom tradition. For example, if you go to Rig Vedas, the Upanishads, you will find so many things, parallels that are found in the wisdom books. So now we slowly move to the text to get this idea. First thing, have the understand that there's a revealed religion and there is a natural religion in the world. In the revealed religions, you have God coming down and revealing his will directly through his people, and the people have to obey his commandments. Whereas in the natural religions, that is, or human search for God, you will find several things God revealing to these people, and we have several things common with these people because God has revealed them his will. That's why we find the commandments, and this slowly coming closer to the New Testament, and we will find the wisdom tradition moving and coming to the New Testament gospel. So much we will not study, but in your book, I have given almost in detail. If you read this, you will get the point. You have the textbook, as I told you. Now, please, I need some help in order to understand the difference between the law prophet tradition and the wisdom tradition. We read two texts. It is one. Please go to chapter 19 of Exodus. Please go to chapter 19 of Exodus. There is a theophany. You will find theophany and how God reveals himself in a law prophet tradition is given. Theophany. That is from verses 16 onwards. Chapter 19.
On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, as well as a thick cloud on the mountain, and a blast of a trumpet so loud that all the people who were in the camp trembled. Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God. They took their stand at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was wrapped in smoke because the Lord had descended upon it in fire. The smoke went up like the smoke of a kiln, while the whole mountain shook violently. As the blast of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses would speak and God would answer him in thunder. When the Lord descended upon Mount Sinai to the top of the mountain, the Lord summoned Moses.
Okay, thank you, Betty. Thank you, Betty. How the revelation, the law and the prophet goes this way. This is direct revelation, revealed religion. God reveals his will directly to the people and people have to obey. Now, please go to Psalm 19. You will find a similar setting, but this is called wisdom. Psalm 19. Although all are not reading, please have your Bibles in your hand so that the things will be clear.
Acha verse.
From the beginning, you can read.
Okay. God's glory in creation and the law. To the leader, a psalm of David. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In the heavens, he has set a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom from his wedding canopy, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them, and nothing is hid from his heat. The Lord of the law, the law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The decrees of the Lord are sure,
Okay,
making.
enough. Thank you. Thank you. Here you have to find a different tradition. That is, the heavens are telling the glory of God. Okay? The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handwork. Day to day pours forth speech, every day speaks speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. There is no word at all, but every time this is speaking means the glory of God. So this is the range of wisdom tradition. That means God is not directly giving you some kind of laws, but the laws are always proclaimed from the heavens and from every creation. That means the whole earth. And from as a result of this, you know that the neighbors, your neighbors, non-Christian neighbors, you will always accept the Muslims, but other non-Christian neighbors, they don't kill, they don't commit adultery normally. They know the law because from the created universe they have learned this. That's please read also Romans 1:20. What Paul speaks about. This is the law that Paul also refers to. Romans chapter 1:20.
Ever since the creation of the world, his eternal power and divine nature, invisible through they are, have been understood and seen through the things he has made. So they are without excuse.
Okay,
For-
now, thank you. So ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature, that is God's invisible nature, namely his eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made. That means in the created world, the glory of God is manifested, and that means the atheists, they are without excuse. And I will explain to you how this happens. Now we slowly move to other texts. Then slowly, I hope that in this time I will make it clear for you some certain points. Please, we go to read Proverbs chapter 8, 22 to 26. What is the wisdom knowledge? Proverb 22 to 26. Sorry, 8, chapter 8. Chapter 8, 22 to 26.
The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of long ago. Ages ago, I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields, or the world's first bits of soil.
Let's continue.
When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command, when he marked out the fountains of the earth, then I was beside him like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the human race. And now, my children, listen to me. Happy
Okay,
are
for the time being, we stop. We will have to. Okay, you can continue, and I'll explain later. You can continue.
Happy are those who keep my ways, hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death.
Okay, this is a text you have to read again and again. This is one of the basic texts which tells you about the wisdom tradition. Then, reading this text, you have to find the difference between the law prophet sections and the wisdom narrations. The Lord, verse 22 onwards, the Lord created me at the beginning of his work. The Lord, of course, you know, Lord God, the Redeemer God, and created me at the beginning of his work. That means if you go to Genesis chapter 1, you will find the creation work. And if you go look there, you will not find this narration there. That is the problem. So someone is created from the beginning, before the creation, and ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth, when there were no depths, means there was no creation at all. I was brought forth when there was no spring about in which water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. And the problem is, you see the words from 6:26. Before he had made the earth with his fields, or the first dust of the world, when he established the heavens, I was there. When God established the heavens, I was there. When he drew the circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. And when he marked out the fountains of the earth, then I was beside him like a master workman. So this is something serious. That means God, when God was creating the universe, there was someone beside him like a master workman. And who is this master workman? That is the scope or subject of our study. This is the wisdom, and the wisdom tradition teaches about who is this workman, master workman. And the problem is, you go to the last part of the text. If you want to get life, you have to know this wisdom. And if you don't understand wisdom, you are lovers of depth. So the Bible sees knowing wisdom as something serious and more important. If you want to know God, you have to know wisdom. Then now we go to the book of wisdom, chapter 22, chapter 7, 22 onwards. The book of wisdom. Before going to chapter 22, chapter 7, you can go to chapter 6:22, then, 6:22, then to 7. Please go to the book of wisdom, chapter 6:22.
I will tell you what wisdom is and how she came to be, and I will hide no secrets from you, but I will trace her course from the beginning of creation and make knowledge of her clear. And I will not pass by the truth, nor
Okay,
will I.
enough. Oh, enough. So this author is going to tell you who wisdom is. This is a foundation of wisdom tradition. Even if we don't complete this this course, you can read from the book. I am giving you some orientation to read the text. Now please go to chapter 7 and please read 22 onwards. That we may understand what wisdom is.
For wisdom, the fashioner of all things taught me. There is in her a spirit that is intelligent, holy, unique, manifold, subtle, mobile, clear, unpolluted, distinct, invulnerable, loving the good, keen, irresistible, beneficent, humane, steadfast, sure, free from anxiety, all powerful, overseeing all, and penetrating through all spirits that are intelligent, pure, and altogether subtle. For wisdom is
Continue.
for wisdom is more pureness, she pervades and penetrates all things. For she is a breath of the power of God and a pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty. Therefore, nothing defiled gains entrance into her. For she is a reflection of eternal light, a spotless mirror of the working of God, and an image of His goodness. Although she is but one, she can do all things, and while remaining in herself, she renews all things. In every generation, she passes into holy souls and makes them friends of God and prophets. For God loves nothing so much as the person who lives with wisdom. She is more beautiful than the sun and excels every constellation of the stars. Compared with the light, she is found to be superior, for it is succeeded by the night, but against wisdom evil does not prevail.
Okay, so here you have some kind of an exposition of wisdom, who wisdom is. If you check these characteristics, these adjectives, these are actually the adjectives of God. So wisdom is divine. Wisdom is there during the time of creation of the world with God as a master workman. And wisdom is the mediator between the world and the transcendent God. And if you want to know God, you have to know wisdom. These are things taught in the wisdom books. And how this works, I will show you. Please, you can also read chapter 8, 1 to 8, because we don't want to come back to this text. Just to know that you have an idea. Chapter 8, 1 to 8. This is continuation of the text.
She reaches mightily from one end of the earth to the other, and she orders all things well. I loved her and sought her from my youth. I desired to take her for my bride and became enamored of her beauty. She glorifies her noble birth by living with God, and the Lord of all loves her. For she is an initiate and the knowledge of God and an associate in his works. If riches are a desirable position in life, which is richer than wisdom, the active cause of all things, and if understanding is effective, who more than she is fashioner of what exists? If anyone loves righteousness, her labors are virtues. For she teaches self-control and prudence, justice and courage. Nothing in life is more profitable for mortals than these. And if anyone longs for wide experience, she knows the things of old and infers the things to come. She understands turns of speech and the solutions of riddles. She has foreknowledge of signs and wonders and of the outcome of seasons and times.
Okay,
There,
from this, you may have some kind of interest to learn who wisdom is. You might have to get that interest. Now, we go to the again to the first verse of chapter 8. She reaches mightily wisdom, mightily from one end of the earth to the other, and she orders all things well. This is the point of departure. If you don't have any religion, but you reach God, the Creator, through what means? This is the question. Natural religion. There is no religion. You don't believe any particular religious path, but you are searching for your Creator, and there should be a Creator of all things. And you are coming to that Creator, God. Through what means? That is the question. So here comes the wisdom tradition. So first of all, you have to understand that this is a tradition where there is no religion. There is God who is called the Creator. Whereas there is no redemption or something like that. As a result, you will not find the God of Israel in the wisdom books. God of, for example, Song of Songs is a wisdom book, and you will not find any mention of God there. This is a wisdom book. And now how this functions is the question. So we go to, you now, please, this is a wisdom tradition is biblical philosophy. So you have to think. So what to think? Can anyone tell me in the world that that does not have happen according to order? Means, if I tell you directly, everything in the created universe happens in an order. Everything. If there is some kind of disorder, there will be a disaster. The sea always remains the sea, and the earth, so earth. This is not a sea, but this is the land. If you plant a seed of a jackfruit tree, you will always get a jackfruit tree. Never from a seed comes a mango tree. You know this. We plant certain things because we know that you will have an effect. So a child is born on there and it grows. This is normal. If it does not grow, there's a disaster. So everything in the world has got an order. Everything happens according to an order. We live because we totally believe in this order. You are now in the class sitting, or I don't know what are you doing. You are there peacefully because you know that after that you will be hungry. You have some kind of food. If you don't have this belief, this will be very difficult to live. We all trust this order, divine order, and we organize all our lives according to the order. For example, now here it is evening, this is night, and we know that after certain hours, it will be day. Then again night. For you, I don't know if it is night or not. Then you know that it is coming. So you have a day, night. This is always the same pattern. Not that 2 days come together or 2 nights come together. This happens in a regular fashion. Everything. You have a summer, then a winter, then a summer, then a winter. Always the plan is repeated. The order is repeated. This is said in Genesis chapter 1. This is said in Genesis chapter 1 because I will tell you, Genesis 1 to 11 is also part of wisdom tradition. You have the law prophet section beginning only in the 12th chapter with the call of Abraham, the history of Israel, and their religion and the Redeemer God of Israel. In the law prophet section, what you find is the Redeemer God of Israel, Yahweh. Whereas in the first sessions, although I try to differentiate, this is also wisdom part, and there also you will find this ordering. So please go to Spitino. Please go to chapter 1 of Genesis.
From the first verse itself.
You may have to read when I say stop, please stop. Yes.
In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and the God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day.
Okay, now. Then after my explanation, please read the last.
Yeah.
In the beginning, this is Hebrew. If I say Bereshit bara Elohim, at the Hashemayim ve haaretz, you read, if you translate in good Hebrew, in good language, it should be going, when God began to create the heaven and earth was without form and void. That should be a translation. Otherwise, here what is read is God created a chaos. No, you can Hebrew translate that way. Anyway, when God began to create the heavens and earth, the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the earth, deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. So one thing you have to understand is, according to the biblical order, God is not creating the universe from nothingness. This is a later theological development or philosophical development. If someone asks you where does the sun rise, if someone asks you, the older generation especially, they will just say in the east. This was the question and that was the answer. And they didn't know the modern theories of galaxy and so on. If you ask them, where does the sun rise, then they say it's in the east. Normal question, not by even now we follow this. So during the time of the biblical authors, they did not have any idea of creatio et nihilo. They just thought of every creation narrative spoke of God's creating the cosmos from waters. So also the biblical author holds the same idea. So the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. So this is called formless and void. Water does not have any form. If you pour the water in a glass, it will get the form of the glass. If in a bottle, it will have the form of a bottle. So this is a formless matter. So what God did, there was a confusion and God ordered the things. If you go to the first chapter of creation, God first makes a space between the waters, separating the waters above and below. And God is creating a heaven. And then God is ordering things. And the first thing is he had made the light. And he separated light from darkness. Then what you find is, you can please read the remaining parts.
And God said, "Let there be dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate separate the waters from the waters." So God made the dome and separated the waters that they were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky, and there was evening and there was morning, the second day.
Okay, enough. So have you seen in verse 5, the author is telling that there was evening, there was morning, first day. Then again you come to verse 8, you will again find there was evening, there was morning, the second day. Again you will find it repeated. Means God had created light and separated it from darkness. And then he's maintaining the order. The next day, there was evening, there was morning. The next day, there was evening, there was morning. So there is continuously God, after creating the order, God is maintaining the order. This is the idea in the wisdom literature about the creation of the world. Creation means creation of the order in the universe. Creation in the wisdom literature means creation of the order in the universe. But you can go to Wisdom, the book of Wisdom, chapter 9, 9 and 10. Chapter 9, 9 and 10. Book of Wisdom.
With you is wisdom, she who knows your works and was present when you made the world. She understands what is pleasing in your sight and what is right according to your commandments. Send her forth from the holy heavens, and from the throne of your glory send her.
Okay,
That she,
enough. That is, maybe I missed. You go to, please, Sirach, that is Ecclesiasticus 16, 24 to 30. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, 16, 24 to 30.
listen to me, my child, and acquire knowledge, and pay close attention to my words. I will impart discipline precisely and declare knowledge accurately. When the Lord created his works from the beginning and in making them determined their boundaries, he arranged his works in an eternal order and their dominion for all generations. They neither hunger nor grow weary, and they do not abandon their tasks. They do not crowd one another, and they never disobey his words. Then the Lord looked upon the earth and filled it with his good things. With all kinds of living beings, he covered its surface, and into it they must return.
Okay, enough. So, listen to me, my son, and acquire knowledge, and pray close attention to my words. I will impart instruction and wait. 26. The words of the Lord have existed from the beginning of his creation. When he made them, he determined their divisions and arranged his works in an eternal order. Means everything in the universe happens in an eternal order. You can find a child is born, it lives for a period, maybe 7 years, 8 years, or 9 years, then dies. The generation continues. About the animals is the same. About the plants the same. The history continues, and there is the same always, remains. If some disaster happens like tsunami or like that, there is disorder and there is disaster. So God maintains the order. God creates the order and maintains the order. We just go to the book of Wisdom, chapter 11, 17, which gives us clearly the idea how God created the universe from a disorder. Book of Wisdom, chapter 11, 17.
For you, all powerful hand, which created the world out of formless matter, did not lack the means to send upon them a multitude of bears or bold lions or newly
Okay,
created.
enough. Just the idea, what I told you in the first chapter of Genesis, this is out of formless matter God is creating the universe. This is the idea. There is for thy all-powerful hand, which created the world out of formless matter. This is a wisdom conception. God had some kind of formless matter, that is the water, because this is the general ancient Near Eastern conception that God's created the world from water, primeval waters. So God is creating from this formless matter and orders everything. And this order is maintained in eternally. And this is called providence in wisdom tradition. God means God is a creator of the universe. There is no redeemer God. There is no God who reveals to Moses or someone else. No, this is nothing about the gospel. God means God is the creator of everything, because the assumption is this: you enter a classroom, for example. Now I am coming to a class and you are attending me. How does this happen? Because someone has organized this, arranged this. The Alpha Institute has arranged the class, so there's a class is happening. Simply one time I am coming to the computer and you are sitting there, a class will not happen. Or you go to your church or somewhere, you have some kind of meeting, and you have to have an auditorium. Should be arranged every day, and the chief guest comes and he sees everything arranged. He cannot assume that, oh, this happened automatically. No. If there is an arrangement, some kind of order, there should be someone behind the order. And in the wisdom tradition, this power that orders the things is called God. And that is the creator. In order to reach this creator God, you don't need any religion. And in the whole world, wisdom tradition existed and still exists. And these people can, without religion, reach God. This is the important point in the wisdom tradition. But as we move forward, we will find that in the wisdom tradition of Israel, it slowly come closer to the law prophet tradition and merges with it. And when we come to the New Testament, it will slowly flow to the Gospel of John. We don't have so much time to explain all these things in this class, but this goes this way. So if there is an order in the universe, that it is visible to everyone, you look to the world around you, you find everything happening in an order. You can, so not even one point that happens without an order. Everything in an order. Our day is ordered. Our if you work too much, you will be too tired. This is an order. That means the system will not hold. So everything happens in an order. You will be hungry after certain hours. You will be hungry again and again. So this is in an order. So the one who maintains its order or creates its order and maintains its order is called the God in the wisdom tradition. And the act of maintaining the order is called providence. We live on earth happily because there is providence. God sees that the order is maintained. You go for an examination, you study well, and you know that you will write and you will get through. Whereas, if there's some kind of serious manipulation, you will not get through. There is disorder. Then you have a problem. If you write the examination and they value generally, means justly, you will get through. This is the order. And God maintains the order. So God is a creator God. The wisdom God is a creator God and a God of providence. And how they reach this God means simply observe the things in the world. So that's all. I just look into the world and I reach the creator. For a text, you can go to Wisdom chapter 13. Chapter 13, please, Betty. The book of Wisdom chapter 13.
From verse 1, Acha.
From the beginning.
For all people who were ignorant of God were foolish by nature, and they were unable from the good things that are seen to know the one who exists, nor did they recognize the artisan who, while playing, heed to his works. But they supposed that either fire or wind or swift air or the circle of the stars or turbulent water or the luminaries of heaven were the gods that ruled the world. If through delight in the beauty of these things people assumed them to be gods, let them know how much better than these is their Lord, for the author of beauty created them. And if people were amazed at their power and working, let them perceive from them how much more powerful is the one who formed them. For from the greatness and beauty of created things comes a corresponding perception of their creator. Yet these people are little to be blamed.
Okay, enough,
For-
enough. We, for the time being, stop here. Just please go through again the text. For all men who were ignorant of God were foolish by nature. This is a declaration of the Bible, wisdom literature. All people who are atheists are foolish by nature. Why? Because in the universe, everywhere there is order. You look the external world. You go to any hospital. You know that our system, this is too complicated, the body system. And everything happens in an order. Often we find people, sick people. What is the problem? I have some problem with iron content. We don't know where is this iron remains. We do not know. Or potassium or something. There's a problem and disorder. So God has it arranged so well, our body, the universe, or whatever. And so as a result, if there is an order, there should be someone who creates the order and maintains the order. Without any creator, no order comes into existence. So that one who creates the order is called God in the wisdom tradition. There is no religion. And who maintains that order is also called God, God of providence. As a result, one who does not believe in the creator of this order is a fool, according to the Bible. And they were unable from the good things that are seen to know him who exists. Nor did they recognize the craftsman while paying heed to the verse. If you go to Europe, for example, you go to a museum or an art, if you put a painting in your room, the Europeans, white people come and say, oh, this is a very marvelous picture. Who has painted this? That is their first question. We don't have that sense of mind normally. We say, oh, this is a good picture or bad picture also that way. While if you go to the Europeans, they will say, ask you, who is the painter? Who is the artist? So whenever you find an order in the universe, a wisdom sage will ask, who is the creator of this order? And he slowly come to the creator of the order, that is God. And if you does not come to that conclusion, you are a fool. That is the conclusion of the wisdom literature. Verse 5, for from the greatness of the beauty of created things comes a corresponding perception of the creator. This is the basis of wisdom tradition, wisdom literature. And now the second point means, as you see the order in the empirical world, that means external world, you can also find an order in the moral and spiritual world. I repeat, just as there is an order in the universe, in the external world, everywhere you can find this order. You can tell me, prove to me that there is something happening without an order. I will give you some kind of award, because there is nothing in the world. There are something disorder things. Example, tsunami is a disorder and a disaster also. Normally, nothing is a disaster because this happens in an order. And now the second part, just like you find order in the universe, everything in the external world, there is also an order created by God in the moral spiritual realm. As a result, there is an act-consequent link. There's an act-consequent link. Means, if you do good, you will get good rewards. And if you would do evil, you will be punished. I don't know how aged are you, all of you. Anyway, if you look backward to 15 years or so, every story, every short story, every film, every poem, every art of creation that were created by human beings in no difference in religion, They all promoted the theory, the so-called theory of old, the retribution. Means if you do good, you will get good reward. If you do evil, you will be punished. This is not about any Christian or Hindu or any other. Here also I exempt the Muslims. They are just contrary because they are training people to do so. God tells you don't kill, but they are training to kill. So this is a different issue. Otherwise, you shall not kill. There is a law written in the mind of every human being. And one Hindu composing a poem or writing a story, he is writing, you shall not kill. And if you kill, you will have to bear serious consequences. This is called the internal order. God has created the order, moral law, and God maintains the order. As a result, if you do good, you will get good rewards. If you do evil, you will get punishment. This is in the mind of every human being. So this is, you have a order in the external world and order in the internal world. And as a first definition, I would say, if you personify this order, the external world order and internal world order, moral order, this is called the wisdom in the first level. If you personify, imagine this order as a person, this order is called wisdom. And this order was created first, and according to this order, God then created every other things in the world. It is like creating a motor vehicle, you know. The engineer has first a model or a helicopter, whatever. They have first a model, they create it and they fly it, and they know that it works this way. Or all this kind of rockets and everything. They try, they create a model, try it, and they know it works. So God had created the wisdom first. Then according to the wisdom, God created everything in the world. So everything happens in an order. This is the wisdom conception. As a result, wisdom is everywhere in the world. We shall go to chapter 39 of Sirach. As a result, if you don't want to know about wisdom, you have to go beyond the boundaries. Sirach, that is, Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 23.
Father, 23, 39.
No, just 23 from the beginning.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 24. 24.
The praise of wisdom. Wisdom praises herself and tells of her glory in the midst of her people. In the assembly of the Most High, she opens her mouth, and in the presence of his host, she tells of her glory. I come forth from the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth like a mist. I dwelt in the highest heavens, and my throne was in a pillar of cloud. Alone I compassed the vault of heaven and traversed the depths of the abyss. Over waves of the sea, over all the earth, and over every people and nation I have held sway. Among all these I sought a resting place. In whose territory should I abide? Then the Creator of all things gave me a command, and my Creator chose the place for my tent. He said, make your dwelling in Jacob, and in Israel receive your inheritance.
Okay,
Before...
thank you. We explain. So please all have your Bible in your hand. Chapter 24 of Sirach. Verse 3. Wisdom declares, I came forth from the mouth of the Most High. Wisdom is coming forth from the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth like a mist. She is covering the whole earth like a mist. That means wisdom is everywhere in the world. I dwelt in high places, and my throne was in the pillar of cloud. This is God appearing in the Old Testament, you know. Alone I have made the circuit of the vault of heaven and have walked in the depths of the abyss. She is there in the heavens and also in the abyss. She is wisdom everywhere in the world. In the waves of the sea, in the whole earth, and in every people and nation, I have gotten a possession. So, wisdom is this order. The God created order. Wisdom is everywhere in the world, in the heavens, in the seas, in the abyss, in the mountains, everywhere. And this wisdom will come and reside as a residing place in Jerusalem temple. That is said in this book. So, wisdom is everywhere and she does a lot of things in the world. As a result, if you want to know about the Creator God, she is the first step to know God because she is the mediator. You may have to go to the whole world. This is said in chapter 39 of Sirach, chapter 13 and 1 to 5.
He seeks out the wisdom of all the ancients and is concerned with prophecies. He preserves the saying of the famous and penetrates the subtleties of parables.
You started somewhere
Sirach 39.
39 from the beginning.
Oh, sorry. How different the one who devotes himself to the study of the law of the Most High. He seeks out the wisdom of all the ancients and is concerned with prophecies. He preserves the sayings of the famous and penetrates the subtleties of parables. He seeks out the hidden meaning of proverbs and is at home with the obscurities of parables. He serves among the great and appears before rulers. He travels in foreign lands and learns what is good and evil in the human lot. He sets his heart to rise early to seek the Lord who made him and to petition to the Most High. He opens his mouth in prayer and asks pardon for his sins. If the great
enough. So, he who devotes himself to the due study of the law of the Most High, if you want to know the law of the Most High, if you want to know the will of the Most High God, Most High here means the God, Creator God, will seek out wisdom of all the ancients. So you will have to know the wisdom of all the ancients. You have to learn all the traditions in the world, and will come concerned with the prophecies. At the same time, he will learn the prophecies of Israel. He will preserve the discourse of noblemen. And so you will find a noble man, a gentle, good man of knowledge. You will hear him and penetrate the subtleties of parables. You in your life hear so many parables of the ancients in any culture. You will have to look for the meaning of these parables. He will seek out the hidden meaning of proverbs and be at home with the obscurities of parables. You know, all these are parables, proverbs, moral stories, inspirational stories, sayings of the wise. All these things are wisdom, literature. So if you want to know the words of God, you have to go beyond all the boundaries because wisdom is everywhere in the universe. You have to know so many people what they are teaching. For example, you are from Kerala, hope some of you. When you go out of Kerala, live with a different people, you have something more about the Creator God, how God was in that land and that people. And if you go 50 lands or people or countries, you know again more and more. If you learn more proverbs, the meaning of proverbs, more moral stories and stories, you know more and more about the Creator God. This is the wisdom understanding. This is global understanding. This is biblical philosophy, let's say. You are from the experience and through proofs, you are moving to the Creator God. You know, for everything proofs. So this is wisdom. Now, there are, as I told you, there are 7 wisdom books. that you may learn by heart even now. That is, first you have Psalms. I think you may have another course for Psalms. Psalms, then you have Job, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, Sirach, and the Book of Wisdom. These are the 5 books, and it has got a big history. In that wisdom book, in the first chapter, means introduction, at the last part, I have given certain points. That is 5 points, which are the features of wisdom thinking. They have no national boundaries. It is based on experience. They are thinking about how life can be made happy and successful and so on. Because since this is based on experience, it cannot be limited with some national boundaries. I will have a fever just like an American. So this is based on experience. So, and the other thing is we are learning through experience. Since we are learning through experience, how we learn things are more important. How do we learn? For example, in order to have knowledge, you should have fear of God. Please, take Proverbs chapter 1:7.
First verse Nanacha.
Yeah.
Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. A slave who deals wisely will rule over a child who acts shamefully and will share the inheritance as one of the family.
One moment. Is it Proverb?
Yes, such a proverb, chapter 17.
No, 1:7 I told you. 1:7. Sorry. You heard it differently. Proverb 1:7.
Oh, okay. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fool despise wisdom and instruction.
Okay, enough. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This is the basic thought of the wisdom books. Fear of God is beginning of wisdom. You all may know this by heart. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Again, read 9:10. Proverb 9:10.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight.
Okay. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. You know what this? Fear of God is, this is no superstition. Often people think that fear of God is something that you are always afraid of God. No, fear of God is totally different. Often those people who think that they have fear of God, they don't have any fear of God. They actually don't have any fear of God. Do you know what is fear of God? In wisdom tradition, this is a wisdom phrase or wisdom proverb. This is so. You believe that God is the creator of the universe. Okay? You believe that God is the creator of the universe. You believe that God is your creator. First point. Second, since God is a creator and creation is ordering, you know that everything that comes to your life is the order foreseen by God. There is something happens to your life, and this is the order sent by the creator God, because nothing happens beyond his capacity. Wisdom orders everything in the universe. So everything that happens in your life is a result of the providence. When you come to that belief, you have a little fear of God. Those who have fear of God actually will have not too much pray. Prayer means you can praise God, you can thank God. That is another thing. This intercession for self. You can pray for other people, it's okay, no problem. But I want this, I want that. No, because God is my creator and he is a God who provides me. He sees that I am his creation and I am his son or daughter, and he will order my life. This is called fear of God. If I don't come to that point, I will never have the fear of God. Jesus had a fear of God because in Gethsemane, he said, Father, if this is thy will, let it happen. It's okay. That is called fear of God. Or Mother Mary, fiat, according to thy will. Let it happen. This is fear of God. And how it was in life. If you have some kind of good or bad experience in life, today morning, just take some example that happened in today in your life. God is the creator, and what happened in your life comes as part of the plan of God, who planned the whole universe. And you had some kind of experience, and what that experience tells you, this is the question. If you have analyzed this and you have found out the answer, you are wise according to wisdom tradition. If you don't mind this, this is similar to a student comes to, I am teaching every day, a student sitting in the class, he does not mind anything that is taught in the class also. He has completed the time and he went away. He did not learn anything. This is, some people, life is so. God teaches every hour, every minute maybe. Wisdom is speaking from the all corners of the earth every time. In every incident in your life, every experience, wisdom is speaking to you, the knowledge of God. Since you don't have the fear of God, you don't learn anything. Today, for example, some people quarrel with me. If I am a man with the fear of God, wisdom, I will think, what is the reason behind this? Either I have made some mistake or they had some mistake. If they had some mistake, what may be the reason for that? If they had made some mistake, why should I be worried about this? It is not my mistake. And if I am mistaken, I have to correct. And what the Creator God wills on my part that I do, when I begin to experience this, I am slowly getting wisdom. This is like an Ayurveda doctor, or any doctor. In the created world, we have so many pains and so many diseases. And in the world itself, you have all the plants and medicines. The ancients, how they found medicine? They check, and from an experience, they know that this is good for this. So he has a knowledge. Another incident, they have another knowledge. Another incident. Going through different experiences and learning, they know a lot of things. They are wise. One another fool, going through the same way, he sees all the plants, he has all the disease, but he never thinks or checks. So he does not have any wisdom. So this is our experience. You are wise or not, decided by your own actions. Wisdom calls you from everywhere in the universe. It is inside you, it is outside you, and it is telling you about the glory of God. If you have the ears, you can hear. If you check your life, your experiences, you can grow in the knowledge of God. This is the wisdom tradition. I think you are coming closer to the time. So we have 5 books. The beginning book, you have the Proverbs. Proverbs, in direct classes, I will make all of you tell us proverb. And they were the ancient textbooks, let's say, how the ancient taught the generations knew the knowledge about God. For example, you can tell 1 or 2 proverbs or think, all that glitters is not gold. This is a proverb maxim. This maxim has come through several experiences. It is not about gold. This is about life experience and putting maxims. And these are proverbs. Proverbs existed throughout the world. In every culture, there are proverbs. And what we find in the biblical book of Proverbs is the the Israelite version of the Proverbs. What the ancient Israelites developed as Proverbs. Then you have a book of Job. Job is, for a detailed study, we cannot. Please read the book. Often we find that the retribution theory, that is, God will reward according to the works. I do good works, I will be rewarded normally. And if I do evil, I will be punished normally. But there are certain incidents where even if I do good, it seems that I am not rewarded well. There are certain incidents. Such incidents are discussed in the book of Job. Then you have Ecclesiastes, which tells you about the vanity of everything. Chapter 3. Please, Betty, you can read chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, an important chapter. That is Kohelet.
Taking it, teacher.
Okay. Chapter 3.
Yeah. I'm not getting it.
So, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Anyone? Other? Okay. No? Ecclesiastes or Kohelet?
I got it, teacher. Chapter 3.
Okay, chapter 3.
Yeah. Everything has its time. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to
Okay,
sing.
enough. Verse 11.
He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds, yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end.
Okay, thank you. So everything has got a time. In your life, you are as a child, as a young woman, man, as an adult, then as old. Everything has a time. So understand the time. And what Koheles tells you is enjoy your life. That you can find in 11, chapter 11, verse, the last part. The same book, chapter 11.
Yes.
This is an exhortation to the young man. That is 9 onwards.
Okay. Rejoice, young man, while you are young. Let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Follow the inclination of your heart and the desire of your eyes. But know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment.
Okay, enough. You can continue reading till the first verse in chapter 12. But the instruction of the sage is this. In the book of Job, he will tell you that when you have disasters in your life, don't try. This is a plan of God, and God has a plan, and God will end the plan. He will bring the plan to the its end. So don't try simply. Just submit to the will of God. So when you have suffering, just leave it to God, because this is part of the creation. Whereas when you have a time of enjoyment, the sage will tell you, enjoy life, because this is given by God to you. Only that you just have fear of God. This is how wisdom goes. Then you have the Song of Songs, where the girls are told that you shall not do mistakes in your life. You will have so many things in your mind, thoughts, but don't do any mistake. That will destroy your life. Then you have Sirach, still advanced out of the wisdom, because this is theology growing slowly. In Sirach, you have a much more developed theology, and slowly come to the point that the sage calls God his father. In chapter 23, you will find that God calls, no, the sage calls God father. And the same is said in the book of Wisdom, chapter 2 and chapter 14, I think. God is called Father, and this is only then developed in the New Testament. And in the book of Wisdom, you will have it in your textbook. We will find they have faith in the resurrection and judgment and so on. And some kind of Trinity is said, is revealed in the Old Testament, in the book of Wisdom. These all things are in the textbook. So I am now closing. You might have got some kind of idea of the wisdom literature. This is not the same as the law and the prophet. This is a totally different tradition. And this is part of the global human culture about reflection about the creator God. In the wisdom tradition, you have the creator God, whereas in the law prophet tradition, you have the redeemer God. If you want to make a distinction, the redeemer God is usually called Yahweh. That is the God who reveals himself to Moses, whereas the creator God is appearing in the wisdom tradition. And don't mix this with the Islamic conception. The creator God is the creator of every human being, and he shall not allow you to kill anyone. If he is the creator, he is the father, and no father will allow one son to kill the other. So this is simply a misguided religious concept and man-made religion. So things should be clear. In the Bible, we have when the God concept, both these concepts coming together in Sirach, and we have the creator and the redeemer God. So if you go through the book, you may have more about the book. And I stop here. If you